Also gut, da bin ich ja mal gespannt.
So now the people can also hear us. So we switch to English, and yeah, I'll just give the viewers some more seconds to join in here before we start the actual interview with Jochen. In the meantime, as I said, I'll give you a short introduction, or better, let's Jochen introduce yourself. It's better because you can introduce yourself a little better. I just know that you're an amazing guy, an unbelievable person, and you have some experience on the chair in also Grand Slam events, up to the Grand Slam events. So I would love to hear something from you, and yeah, introduce yourself. That makes it a little more easier.
Okay, so hello everybody. Hello Schrambini. I hope you're all right. Yeah, well, I introduced myself in the field of tennis officials, so not my private life, maybe not so important, but my umpiring background, I would say. I think that could be interesting. You agree, or is that okay?
100%. No, I mean, you can tell us like how you came to tennis and how did you come from tennis then to umpiring, and just take us on a short Jochen Knobel trip.
Okay, so I'm 52 years old now at the moment, and I was, as a kid, I was of course playing soccer. Football was the biggest in my imagination. But then I discovered tennis before Boris Becker came, because everybody started playing tennis when Becker won Wimbledon in '85. But I decided to play tennis, I think, '83, '84, and then the Becker boom pushed everything even more forward. So I was even more motivated. And as a kid, I always wanted to be a football referee. I can remember that because
really?
my mother's boss, he was the first league German first league football referee in the '70s, let's say. And I was so impressed about all his, all his, the balls with the autographs and everything, his shirts, and I could see that because he all collected this, and I was basically a lot in his room where he had everything. Maybe that was my motivation to be an referee or official, let's say.
Yes.
But when I switched to tennis, I started to be interested also in umpiring and line umpiring at the beginning. And I think my first line umpiring was '88, and it was my first experience as a line umpire. And then '89 at the Weißenhof tournament, ATP tournament in Stuttgart.
Okay.
Before it was even called ATP, because the ATP was only founded 1990, so it was called Nabisco Grand Prix or something like that. And 1919, the ATP was founded. And the interesting part was that they were advertising for young officials. They were trying, at the tournament, they had one meeting where they said, okay, we're gonna have the ATP now next year, and who wants to be part of the officials program of the ATP? And I applied. So I got regularly news from the ATP. I got, in these days, no emails, but I got letters and rule books and rules questions and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into the officiating, let's say. And I was like one number in the ATP already 1990, because I just applied to be part of the officials program. And I got my first experience at Bundesliga matches, first league matches, ladies, men's matches. That was basically how I started in the beginning of the '90s. And then you make these schools. You go and have exams first in the local federation, and then the local federation decides, okay, go on to the German federation, and you start the schools of the German federation, which takes 2 years until you get something. You have to be there 2 years, and it's seminars from time to time, and at the end you are a German official, let's say. And my first international match I did 91 or 92 at a satellite in Ettlingen, which is close to Stuttgart. So I was sent there as a local official, just as an additional official, and I got like 1 or 2 qualifying matches, and then they sent me home again.
Okay.
And the same thing happened 93 when I got a match in Stuttgart, or one day of qualifying, let's say, at the Weissenhof in Stuttgart. I got 3 matches on the qualifying in the chair, and the rest of the week I was on the line again. So that's how you basically start in officiating in tennis. The good thing, you don't have to go from the lower leagues like in soccer, and you go one league up and up and up, and finally you're somewhere. In tennis, you basically work forward the days in the tournament. So the next year you get a match on the Sunday, maybe a qualifying final, and then one day you get a first round match, and then maybe you get a second round. At the end, you get a final. That's basically how it works. And I got my first international license in '96, which was called White Badge. That's the first step in the ITF.
And it's still today, no? The badge names are the same till today, right? Because I know the white badge and silver badge, bronze badge.
Yeah, it's the same, but in my time, like at the beginning of the '90s, ATP and ITF were fighting against each other. It was not like one combined program for officials. The ATP had their own system, and the ITF had its own system. So I was basically faster on the ATP because I started with that program, and I got a ATP badge, I think in '97. They gave me the ATP badge already, or '96. I can't really remember. And in '99, they started to make a joint program. That was the day when ATP, WTA, ITF decided it's enough. We have a combined program for officials, and then the ATP badge they dropped down the ATP badge, and they just had one badge, and it was white, bronze, silver, gold, and it was written ITF, WTA, ATP on the badge. So it was just a combined thing. And I ended up in 2000, I got my silver badge finally. So '97 bronze badge, and then 3 years later, 2000, I was a silver badge, and I was working as a silver badge for the next 9 years until 2009. And this was like the best time of my career because I got the best matches, and Olympics, Grand Slams, and lots of good WTA. I was doing better in the WTA tour. I was more supported from the WTA, and I got lots of finals: Hamburg, Doha, I don't know, Auckland. I did several WTA finals. So not in the ATP, not more than I got a semifinal once, but it's ATP is a little bit tougher because they have their own, personal, let's say.
Okay, got it.
Tough to sneak in. That was my umpiring career for, let's say almost 25 years.
Wow. So yeah, interesting. So one first question that comes up to me is like, why you never like kind of tried or applied for the gold badge? Was there any reason for that, or because gold badge, of course, is the highest possible badge that you can have as an umpire?
Yeah, you cannot apply for it. I mean, you can. The first step is the white badge, and in my case or in the other federations as well, the federation sends you to the international school. If you pass it, you're a white badge. The same with the bronze badge. The federation applies to the ITF and says, this official should be promoted. So, accept him for the school in this case, bronze badge. So then you get the bronze badge. And when you have the bronze badge, you have to work a certain number of matches a year. So if you want to become a silver badge, you should do at least, I think it's 120 matches a year. Then you have a chance to get promoted to silver, and you need, of course, good evaluations as well. So you need like the 120 matches, and you need a bunch of good positive evaluations, and then it took me, let's say, 3 years from bronze to silver, and I got it in 2000. And with the gold badge, it's kind of, you know, it's also politics involved, to go from silver to gold. And I was not, and you need, you know, let's say I was always like not putting all effort into the officiating. I studied, I did other businesses because I didn't want to be too dependent on the tennis, because if something happens and you're out of tennis, you're out. You cannot go to find a new job, because if you're out of tennis, nobody gonna hire you anymore. And it's kind of dangerous if something happens and they kick you out, you're out, and then you basically stand alone with nothing. And so I was not 100% dedicated, you know, to go for gold. I was just happy with the silver badge. And I mean, if they would have pushed me to the gold, of course I would have accepted. But I was not. I think I was not in the pot for a gold badge.
Got it. But with a silver badge, you're actually like you're allowed, and you're like allowed to judge any match, to be the referee on any match on the tour, right? It's just like actually the supervisor of the tournament decides which referee he puts on which match, or how does that work? Like who is deciding which match are you doing or which match are you not doing?
Yeah, well, on the paper there's like a paper, and that says a silver badge and a gold badge could do a Grand Slam final. That's the paper. So theoretically I could have done any match, but in practice it's different. I don't know if a silver badge ever did a Wimbledon final. I don't think so. It's only gold badges that they put for these matches. Yeah. So, but on the paper with a silver badge, you're on the same, let's say, level than a gold badge. But you don't have the, you know, support from the supervisors. They have to decide. But I had several tournaments where a gold badge was at the same tournament, and the referee decided to let me do the final, for example. This happened quite often. That because if you have a good week and they see you have a good week, and the other umpire maybe could be gold, silver, any badge. If he has he or she has a not so good week, let's say, then they sometimes switch it. Happened to me quite several times, but that was not a reason to be promoted to gold badge. I mean, I know I could have been a gold badge as well.
And one, like if someone would say, okay, I wanna be a line umpire at an ATP event. I mean, I was line umpiring also myself for like, I don't know, like 12 years, and also in Stuttgart at the ATP tournament. So for me it was a kind of different path. But what would you recommend someone that says, hey, I wanna maybe be a line judge on an ATP event? Is that like I need to go to school, to any line umpiring school, or how is the process of becoming a line umpire on, let's say, an ATP like main event?
Yeah. So normally, well, if you've never done it before and you apply for an ATP event, it's tough to get in if you don't know anybody. So this is almost impossible. But it's a lot of challenger events and ATP challengers. And on the challenger events, it's also required to have line umpires. And the challengers are always struggling because it's not so popular to go to challenger. So they are happy about basically everybody who wants to work for that week. So this is my advice. If somebody wants to start line umpiring, you should find out, are there any ATP challengers around, or is there one, I want to go. In Germany, we have a lot of challengers. So and if you want to go to Braunschweig or to whatever, Karlsruhe, I don't know. I'm not so familiar anymore with the schedule.
There's in Hamburg, there's in Heilbronn. Yeah, there's a lot, like everywhere, like a lot of challenges.
Heilbronn would be really happy and could get in touch with me basically, because I still know the chief of umpires. So the chief of umpire is the person that is basically organizing all the line umpires before the tournament, get them together, invite them, get the applications ready, sort out who is accepted or not, and at the tournament, the one who does the teams, who organize all the changes, because you have this schedule, you're 1 hour on the court, 30 minutes off. That's the chief of umpire who's doing that. So you have to find out who is the chief of umpires at a tournament, apply with him, try to get there, do a good job, and then you can, if you're doing a good job, and then you find out who is the chief of, for example, WTA in Stuttgart, or ATP Stuttgart, or whatever ATP tournament in Halle or Hamburg, Munich, for example. So try to get into the tournament.
Yeah, and then apply there and say you have a positive reference from another tournament. You of course attach like maybe the information, and as the head of officials, they all know each other. They say, hey, look, there's a guy called Yannick Schramm. Can we take this guy to the tournament? And then okay, that's how it works. How about the payment? How about the payment in the, like, let's say on a challenger line umpire? What does a challenger line umpire gets?
It's poor, of course. It's between, let's say, 40 and 70 euros a day. That's basically what is paid for line umpires.
What about travels and hotel?
Yeah, there are tournaments that take care of accommodation too, and they also pay kind of support for the travel. But if you come from wherever and you have 300 euros travel cost, they might give you maybe 100 or help you a little bit. It's a line umpire, to be a line umpire is really dedication, and you just have to be really, let's say, I mean, you don't have to work for the money, that doesn't make sense.
That's absolutely.
You don't get to go out there with a big pocket, it's not possible.
Yeah, you do the week, and then maybe, of course, if you eat, and then you go out maybe 1 or 2 days, and then you buy a little bit of stuff there at the tournament, some stuff there, and then you end up probably having not much money. That's absolutely what I also experienced on the ATP level when I was a line umpire in Stuttgart. Was more or less the same. I would say we got like about between, I would say, 50 to 80 euros then, maybe around that per day. The hotel was actually not included in the ATP in Stuttgart. They didn't give us the hotel because there's so many that are living around Stuttgart and they're just sleeping at home. So they
organize that's also part of the chief of umpires job.
Yeah.
To sort out, who of the local umpires are ready to accommodate a foreign official that's coming from somewhere else, and they basically have private accommodation. I had in my time I accommodated many officials in my place, in my home, because I had this extra room downstairs, and when there was a tennis tournament, I always had guests that I gave accommodation. Yeah, it's not so easy because the challenger tournament, is struggling anyway. They have to get, sponsors, and at the end, if you run an event like that, you want to go out and make some money if you're the tournament director or you're the tournament. And the umpires and line umpires, that's always, one part of the cost that you don't really like if you organizer.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's true. It's a lot of umpires. I mean, for an ATP event, I would say it's about, let's say, I don't know, like 50 line umpires around for an ATP event. Maybe a little more or less. 40 to 60, let's say, because of course you have like maybe 3 to maybe 6 or 7 courts where they play matches. If it's raining, they play maybe on more courts. And the minimum amount of line umpires that you need per match is that 7? No, it's 7.
Well,
no?
It depends on the tournament. I mean, in So this is the question. This is like rules. This is like regulations. I'm good with the rules of tennis regulations. I'm not so into it anymore. But qualifying, when I remember it correctly, was the ATP Challenger 3 line umpires. That's the minimum. So you can put at least 2 baselines and maybe one on the serve or whatever. You can put them wherever you want, but you need at least 3 at a qualifying and 5 for main draw matches.
Got
And
it.
from semifinals, it's 7, as you say.
Yeah,
and in ATP WTA, it should be 5 at the qualifying and 7 in main draw, something like that. So it's a requirement, and that's how you can calculate how many courts you have, and so how many umpires finally you need.
Yeah,
but
and of course,
let's say 40, 50, 40 or 50 people you need for at the first 4 days, let's say, or first 5 days qualifying, you need people, and then and the Monday, the biggest day is always Tuesday, Wednesday are the biggest day. Then you have maybe a rain day or something. Then Thursday can be completely full. It's sometimes, and then you have to open new courts, and then the chief gets in trouble because suddenly the supervisor decides, okay, we need another court because we have so many matches, and then it's going to be interesting.
Exactly. Then it's when you are in the tent, because of the line umpires, we're all in our tent there on our area, and then the chief comes in and says, hey guys, I need 5 more guys, we need to open like court 8, and we switch, and of course it's always, as you said before, it's like you always judge in like you as a line umpire, of course you start and finish the match. We come to that in a second, but the line umpires, they jump in for, let's say, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or an hour. That's kind of the time zones, the timelines that I most likely recognize on a tournament. Sometimes even 90 minutes, but that's quite unique. But then you have the same amount of time that you have like a break. So you're 60 minutes on court, and then you're 60 minutes off court, and 60 minutes, and that's the whole day kind of. That's how it works the whole day with the line umpire. But one question from me for the chair umpire: how do you do it with a toilet break? I mean, you rarely see a chair umpire going on a toilet break, even in a 5-set match, and they of course drink somehow. What is the rule, and how do you get trained in getting ready for that?
Okay, very good question for me, because you're asking the chief master of toilet breaks. Because I had a lot of matches where I really had to go.
Okay.
And I went. You always try to hold it, of course.
Yeah.
But I have many examples. I was leaving the court lots of times, let's say.
Okay.
It's embarrassing, can be really embarrassing. The
imagine.
bigger the crowd is, the more embarrassing it is.
Yeah.
And we could make one like interview, just the stories with my toilet breaks, because there are funny incidents. Yeah.
Really okay, just tell us one of them.
Well,
tell us first the rule.
Huh?
Tell us first the rules. What is the rule?
There is no rule for that. There's nothing written about it. But if you have to go, try to go at a set break, like the players. I mean, try to make it after a set, and then it's not a problem. They do the chord, and you have time enough.
Yeah.
But I had moments where it was in the middle of the match, and I had one. I can remember one with Mishkina. She won. She's a French Open winner. And it was a match in Berlin. It was an outside court. It was not a center court match, but I think it was a doubles match even. But they played forever, and I finally decided I have to go at 6-5 in the 3rd set. It was before they invented the match tiebreak thing. So they played best of 3 normal sets, and it was 6-5 3rd set, and I could not hold it anymore. And so I left the court at 6-5, and I came back, and they finished the match. Nobody said anything, and I met Mishkina the next day in the elevator in the hotel, and I said, I am sorry that I left the court in that, not really, good moment, 6-5 in the 3rd. And she looks at me and said, I didn't even realize. And I was like, It didn't even realize, because because it was an outside court, I could, jump out, and I found some tree somewhere. But I didn't even go to the toilet, really. I was okay. But the second story, which is even better, and it's really extreme, I think it never happened before or afterwards, was the Weissenhof tournament, also in Stuttgart. And it was actually, there was a rain delay, and we got back to the court, set 2-1, second set 2-1. But in the break, I was eating watermelons, and we had a lot of fruit in the umpire's room, and I was going like, okay, let's go for it. And already 4-all in the second, like only a few games, I realized, oh man, I have to go to the toilet. And then I thought, okay, what can I do? And I really wanted to go at 5-4. I said, I need to go. And it was the game at 4-all. And I in my mind, I said, if it's 5-4, I go. And it's deuce and advantage deuce, back and forth. And the last point before the game, I had a ball mark inspection. So I went down to check a mark, came back to the chair, and I felt like, oh, okay, I'm kind of relieved, I'm gonna go on. And then it goes, of course, it was match point, and I was hoping I hoped so much the guy finished the match, but of course 5-all. Okay, it's 5-all, and I'm sweating already, because I was like really sweating, and I didn't know, I was really scared. And it's 30-15, 5-all, 30-15, and I left the court. This was really extreme. In the middle of the game, 5-all, second set, match points before. And I was just like, I said, guys, emergency, and I was running, And what do you think what happened when I came back? What do you think? What
They just continued playing, and they were sitting on their bench and said it's 6-5 for me, or
No. I came back, and they were just sitting on their benches waiting. And the one guy said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, all good." Okay, that's it. And they played. Nobody said anything. Not after the match. Nothing. No comment. I was really scared, because this was I thought I get really smashed, after that.
in trouble. Yeah. I think the players they understand also that they respect the job for the umpire. Of course, it's not that easy, and I think the players, they have kind of a sense of understanding that they're also just humans, and the players can do it, and you just don't see it that often with the referees. So that's why.
Yeah. It's embarrassing. But imagine Mohamed Layani for this Wimbledon match, Isner and Mahu. When they played like 3 days. So the second day he was sitting there, I don't know, for 7 hours or something, and he never went. He never went to the toilet. I don't know how he did it. For me, impossible. No chance.
Yeah, there's some that can probably deal with it better than the others, but impressive.
I don't know.
Okay, but let's go back to some questions from the people. So now you got a little bit of an insight. Jochen is not a chair umpire anymore. He stopped. When was your last match, Jochen? Because someone asked in the chat, when was your last, or when is your?
Well, the last international match was 2009. But I'm still umpiring. So if we have like these Bundesliga first or second league, German league matches, I'm still going umpire. I'm doing some matches every now and then, but not international matches anymore.
Got it. So I give you just questions, and you ask as short as possible, because then we can take as many questions as possible. So are there any rules in tennis you would change?
Wow. Good question. I don't know. It's I think there was something I really thought should be changed, but I can't. I'm now on the wrong leg, let's say. Let's put it.
I just give you three. Then I give you three things. Like, what about free fan movement? So there you can free fan movement. Fans can go in, go out, and move whenever they want to. Yes or no?
Well, they did it in the US Open because they cannot control the crowd anyway. I think there was 1 year where they allowed it, but they're not so successful. I would say it's really disturbing. I would not. I don't go for it. No.
Okay.
No.
Short sets, like in the next gen short sets kind of format, playing up to 4 sets and.
Yes, start at 2-all or play into. I like the idea to start at 2-all and finish the set. It's the same. I mean, it's the same if you just play to 4, but it looks better. So you have a score. But I like the short set format. Let's say best of 5 short sets would be more exciting, I think, than best of 3 normal sets. Yes, okay. I would support it. Yeah.
And the next thing is, for example, after like what this was also in the next gen final, after a double fault or after an ace, you don't have the 25 second. You just have like, I don't know how much they have, just 15 seconds or 20 seconds. So they reduce the time to a certain amount because okay, if it's double fault or an ace, you don't need like your 25 seconds. You can do it in a shorter period.
Yeah, but that's a little bit like, confusing, let's say, if you have to have a look at that also. I mean, doesn't happen so much, it's not they hit aces all the time and double faults all the time. I mean, I don't see a big advantage about that. I mean, what do you win?
It's just of course speeding up the game. Or let's ask the no let rule. The let on the serve, if the ball touches the net and goes in, that you keep playing. Would you agree with that becoming an ATP rule?
Yeah, actually it's a funny question or interesting question, because I could not really imagine that it's working, but then I saw it on the junior events, and I thought it's working really fine if you just continue. The no let rule, surprisingly, or I started to like the no let rule from a certain time. At the beginning, I was also, as an umpire, you're confused if the ball, you sit in a chair and the ball hits the net and you call net, and everybody looks at you, hey guy, what's going on with you? Happens. Yeah. I mean, it happens so many times that you call the net because you did it for 35 years and suddenly you don't call it anymore.
Sure.
But I think it's it doesn't happen too much that the ball just falls down and it's an ace. Almost doesn't happen. So I like the idea of just, continue the rally. So I would say, yeah, why not? No let.
I mean, on the juniors, I love it because there's never the discussion. Oh, yeah, it touched the net, or no, it was no let. The server says no. Of course, the ace was an ace, and the return says no, it touched the net, and then you have discussions. So with the no let rule, you skip these discussions. So that's why I really do like it in the juniors, and I also like it in the pros, because for me it's always about like make tennis more like exciting in a way of less breaks. So that's why I'm for this like rule, like where you have less time if there's a serve on ace, or no let rule, because you just speed up the game kind of, and you got to see more tennis and less breaks. Okay, next question. So with
the time between points, I don't see a big change, but with the no let rule, that would be a big change. That would change a lot. But I like I like the dynamics of the no let rule, let's say.
That's true. Good. What is the age limit for umpires? And is that different for line umpires, as a question?
Okay, yeah, that's, I mean, we had, oh God, what do I answer to that? So it's basically no written limit. There's no rule about it.
Okay.
There are guys like Romano Grillotti. He was umpiring until he was 70, or another guy, Norm Christ was really, I mean, he was really old when he finished. I mean, he was like 70 or something. And the line umpires, I saw guys that, I mean, I saw them on the tournament. The next year they didn't show up because they died. I mean, that's not, sounds funny, but the line umpire can be really old. I saw so many really old guys, on the line. Some were really good because they had a lot of experience, but sometimes you had really poor officiating. But as I said, at challenger events, they are happy about anybody, as long as the regulation is fulfilled and they could cover the court. They take even the elderly guys. But there is a rule. It's a 40 years when you want to start as an umpire. So if you're
Okay,
over
good.
40, it's tough to get in. You won't get accepted for the schools and stuff.
Yeah,
So
I can imagine. Yeah.
you should be there before 40, and then there is no limit, let's say.
Yeah, you can do some more years. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
One more question about the rules. What about the situation when the point is over and the chair umpire, I mean, he has kind of the option when he pushes that 24 like shot clock button.
Yeah.
What do you think about like that he has kind of the power that he can decide, okay, I'll leave it like a little bit longer, or I push it directly? Like, why you have this clock if the referee can decide when to start it? What is your take on that?
Yeah, actually, I haven't umpired with this let's say rule. The technique was not so advanced at 2009. We haven't had this shot. I mean, of course, we had the computers, and when you push the point, the clock basically started running. Now the umpires, they have to push the point as fast as they can because of the betting side. That's an interesting thing. So one of my umpire friends I'm still in touch with, so Nico Helbert, the top ITF official, I said to him, yeah, I mean, you know, how did you get up so fast? And he's now the gold badge. He said, I was good with the score. I never missed the score. I never pushed the wrong button. I'm really good with the computer. And this was one of the most important things, because when the betting sides came bigger and bigger, and this was connected to the score, so that the umpire's computer was straight connected, or is straight connected to the betting sides. So imagine if the umpire pushes the wrong point to the wrong player and then has to go back, it's big confusion. And for every single incident, they have to write a report. So if the umpire comes back, I saw that in Stuttgart, because I saw my old colleagues, and I saw this piece of paper, and they had to fill that and report all the points where they, you know, accidentally push the wrong side. You know, if you player A wins the point and sometimes you're confused, you push B and oh shit, you know, go back. And this is already an incident. If you don't do it within 2 seconds, let's say, because it takes like 2 or 3 seconds, and then it goes to the betting side. If you don't correct it in the time, you have to write a report to the betting side. And then they came up with the extra button for the time. And I think it's if you have this, in German you would say Fingerspitzengefühl. I don't know, how would you translate that? The sense, you know, this little common sense, say. And then if you have a long rally or exciting point, I think it's smart, and it's also human to, you know, let 5 seconds pass, push the point quickly for the betting sides again, because lots of people are in the crowd and they try to be faster than the umpire. And
sure.
It's a lot of things happened with the betting, and also umpires that were collaborating with the bettors. I know 2 cases where the umpires were banned for life because they were
manipulating, you know, the kind of the
they
like
were
too late.
Yes, they postponed the point. They didn't push the button. They just waited, and so the guy in the crowd could see the rally finish and then put his bet on the point. So, and that's why you have to be really quick to push the button, and then you have this extra button for the time. And yeah, it's a lot of computer things for the umpire now. Actually, they don't have to see anymore because they have the Hawkeye.
Sure.
They don't. In my time, you were a good umpire when you could see the ball. Now you're a good umpire when you can use the palm top.
That's true. That changed definitely. But no, what I want to go back to the yes or no question, like saying, like, because there are people, and I would say I'm that kind of person to say there's a rule that says 25 seconds between the points. and then it's 25 seconds between the points. And it's not some umpire maybe can decide when Rafa takes a little longer than, or they wait till the audience comes down to push the button. I mean, for me, I would say do it like in basketball. If the point is finished, the time runs. Okay, if there's a towel, then find solution, and you have to walk faster to the towel. I mean, 25 seconds is an amount of time where you can do everything that you need. And if you're at the net and then you say you have to go back to the back towel, okay, you can also go to your bench and take a towel there. So you have to find solutions, and you will find solutions. But then it's a clear thing. And then the same with when they toss the ball. There's so many situations where the clock is down to 0 and they have not tossed the ball. And the rule is kind of when they start their serve motion, kind of when they're tossing the ball. And the referee says, nah, it's Rafa, it's like 4-4 in the final set, I don't want to do it. I mean, this is tough for the chair umpire. The same with footfalls for the line umpire. It's like something that is, the player's not liking it. You're gonna maybe have an argue with the player. So for me, it should be more clear, and that there's just like in basketball, if the ball is not tossed when the counter goes 0, it's an audible signal. And there's no discussions about it, So what do you think about my opinion on that take?
Yeah, I just thought about it. There should be there should be a noise, There should be like a beep or a tone, as you say, when the time is up, because then it's the player can get angry against the beep and not the guy in the chair, because you don't make friends as an umpire when you go time violation, warning Nadal. They hate you, and you don't want to be hated. You don't want to be the opponent of the players. You want to be like, you see them every week. You don't want to be hated by your players. I mean, this should be like a cooperation. And the time violation also always like it's a warning you don't really want to give, because it's not so much affecting the game. Let's say, but when you give a time violation, you always get a reaction from the players. Look at Bernardes, Carlos Bernardes and Nadal. They had a long period where they could not work together. So Carlos could not do the Nadal matches because he gave him time violations
and Rafa went crazy.
And maybe the beep would be more,
neutral.
More neutral. Yeah. It's a good idea. I would say yes. Could be the solution. And when the beep comes, the chair umpire has no choice. He makes the announcement.
It's like the machine that calls it, and then someone in the back office, and then okay, if it's 0, it's your responsibility. So I mean, also like that.
Sorry, the new rule is when I was umpiring, it was time violation for the first time warning. The second incident is a point penalty, and the third incident is another point penalty, and so on. And now they put the pressure a little bit out, and you just lose the serve when you're serving. It's basically the server who is slow. The receiver is not slow normally. You have sometimes it's let's say 90% of the cases the server is slow, and I would say it could be. I mean, the pressure is a little bit out with that you just lose the first serve.
That's true.
The player can survive and still win the point. But if you get a point penalty in the second incident, then you have a good atmosphere on the court. It's going to be rougher on the court. Yeah,
that's true. So let's just jump through some more questions, and really like only 10 seconds answer is allowed now, Jochen. So what happens if a player loses his cap or the ball drops out of his pants during a ball rally?
In the first incident, it's a let, and the point will be replayed. And the second time it happens, he loses the point.
Okay. Next question.
Okay.
How long are you allowed to receive a treatment during a match if you're injured, and how often can be the same injury treated during a match?
Okay, so you have a evaluation time when you have an injury. First, you have an evaluation time when the medical trainer comes, and then when he decides you need treatment, it's 3 minutes, and you can only have You can have treatment on the next 2 changeovers for this 1 minute. And then you cannot have any more treatment for this injury. If you have a new or another injury, then the same thing starts all over again. You have this evaluation time and the 3 minutes if the trainer decides you need treatment.
And then it has to be the next changeover and the second next changeover for this 90 or for the 90 seconds that you get the treatment for the same injury. Or
Yes,
is it any changeover you can get these 90 seconds?
No, it should be the following. I mean, you are treated, then you play, then it's a changeover, then you can have the trainer normally stays at the court, comes back and has another look, and he can do that the next changeover as well for two changeovers, and that's it.
Okay. Then the next question is about players' relations to referees. Are there any players' relations to referees? How is the kind of the interaction? Are you friends with some players? How does that work on the tour? Because of course you see each other every tournament.
It's like in normal life. You have guys you like, and you have a good relationship, and you sometimes you even sit with them together. And let's say I had some players, we even sometimes went out for a drink or something, but this should not be really official, because it should not be seen by anybody else. It's always a tough one, if you get too much with it. I mean, you should have a relation in a professional manner, let's say. But I know there's one female umpire, she was married to a player. That happened. Yeah. So it's
Sometimes it does. Question: are umpires supposed to, and do they observe and notice everything going on in and around the court, line calls, footfalls, etc., or are some of those usually left to the line umpires?
I mean, it depends. If you have line umpires, you have to be in charge of everything. So if the line umpire misses the footfall, you have to call it from the chair. And if a line umpire misses a line call, you have to correct it from the chair. You do the net. Basically, you have to control the whole court, even the ball kids and all what's going on and around the court, spectators. So we call it court awareness. So you should really see everything on and around the court and be in charge of what's going on.
What is your take on VAR, video assistant referee in tennis? So if there is a crucial situation like a double bounce, or if the racket, if you hit the ball with the racket on the other side of the court and it's not clear, what is your take on that rule change?
Yeah, good. If you have the help of, if you have the opportunity to have it. I mean, if you have a not up, double bounce, and the umpire is not sure, why not use the camera if you have it? Of course, we have Hawkeye already, and you could get rid of another, let's say, source of mistakes. Yeah, it's not many. It's only the not up, and maybe you remember Rafa's match in the Laver Cup. Can you remember when he hit the ball in the doubles, when he hit the ball through the hole of the net?
Yeah, it was Roger. Yeah, was Roger actually. Yeah.
This was shown on Eurosport in all the breaks all the time.
Yeah, sure.
And the ball, of course, this was not a correct shot, because he hit the ball under the strap, under the net, through this hole at the post, and it was a false shot. It should be point to the others, but I think the chair umpire had no chance. But in this case, why not using the camera?
Yeah, 100%.
I'm always for the fair solution, and the fair solution, if you have a clear image of the camera, use it.
And even the there was the match just was it in Wales, I think, where the player finished at the net, the volley, and he lost his racket after hitting the shot, but the racket touched the net after he volleyed, so the volley was a valid volley because you're not allowed. The rule question: if the ball if you get a lob and you throw your racket up, and then the ball touches the racket, the ball comes back into the court. It's an invalid shot because you have to hold your racket in your hand to make a valid shot, right? Is that correct? So,
correct.
So he did a valid shot with the volley, but then he lost his racket after he did the shot, and then the racket touched the net, and the ball did not bounce twice. And it was a big like discussion, and the referee decided no, it's game, set, and match, but it was a wrong call. It was match, but against Deminar, I think it was the young Chinese newcomer that had that, and it was 6-3 in the tiebreaker final set actually. So I think pretty dramatic moment. And the referee said,
you have to send me this. If you find this, I want to see.
Yeah, well, I'll show you. And it was a wrong call. It was a wrong call because the ball was not dead yet. It was not bounced twice, and the racket touched the net, so it was a wrong call. But also in that moment, like, of course, it's so tough. It's like milliseconds, and sometimes you don't even see it because you're following the ball. You're looking to the other side. You don't see what's happening at the net, and sometimes it's very, very, very tough to see.
Yeah.
So
I had this with Stich and Becker, and it was an exhibition match, but they were really into it. It was not an exhibition because Becker was never an exhibition, and Stich was going for a drop shot. It was on grass, and he could not stop, and he just put the ball, it just passed Becker with a cross kind of. Yeah, it was kind of a stop. He just, like in the small court, he just passed Becker, and then he was touching the net, and the ball didn't bounce twice. And I called the fault for. I mean, I gave the point to Becker, and Steve was like arguing, but the television showed it. I was right in that moment.
Very, very good, very, very good. There's one last two questions before I leave you to your dinner. What if Rafa's bleeding nose when he was treated on the court took more than 3 minutes? So if Rafa,
say that again. Say it again.
If Rafa or any player has a bleeding nose because he hit the racket to his nose, and the treatment takes longer than 3 minutes, and the bleeding cannot be stopped, what is the rule? Is he like does he get a time violation, or he loses the match? What is the rule with that? Or you don't know exactly how to proceed?
It's a tough one. That's a tough one. That's a really tough one. I mean, if you have this, if the 3 minutes are over and you can't get back to play and you're not ready for play, it should be a code violation immediately. So you go into the code, and if you're not ready, it's another 25 seconds, or if it's a change over 30 seconds. And then you're already point penalty and so on, game penalty. You could be defaulted for a situation like that. Yeah, because you cannot wait forever. It's tough. It's tough. But I have to check if there is a special rule about bleeding. If they have
nose bleeding
if they have something, I cannot say. I'm too far away now. I'm not 100%.
In the topic. Yeah, got it.
But I would say that's bad luck. I mean, you have also the other guy, you have always, in an injury situation, the other guy is almost always forgotten. He's just sitting there and he doesn't know what's going on. And everybody takes care of the injured player. And it's very important to communicate also with the other guy, and he's ready. So if the other guy is not ready in 3 minutes, so why should the other guy wait forever? You have to be fair to both players.
See both sides. Okay. Yeah. So last but not least, Jochen, I want to have two last things. The first thing, your most like match that you have the most how to say that you remember the match the most because it was very special and very unique for you. What was that? Which match would you call?
Yeah.
In the past, in your past?
I did the Davis Cup in Slovakia, playing Romania. It was the World Group qualifying match. So the winner goes to the World Group. And this was for me the most emotional and most remarkable, rememberable match I ever did, because it was a full crowd, like, you know, the Davis Cup atmosphere, really loud. It was Ili Nastase sitting in the box with the Romanian team. Miloslav Mečer was the coach of the Slovak team. And it was a really tough match, and 4 sets and lots of calls, and I had a really good performance also. So I still remember that it started not so good, the match. I did a mistake at the beginning, but you know, I could then show that it was just an accident. And this was my, I would say, best match, and I was really exhausted afterwards. After 4 sets, I was really tired. I couldn't believe that you could be so tired after a tennis match. Never happened to me before or afterwards, that I came back and I was like really, you know.
Can imagine it is. Yeah. It is very tough mentally to stay up there, full concentrated for all the time. 100%. People forget that mostly, definitely.
But also really afterwards, if you go through this, you're really happy. You know, it's like a really good feeling. Of course, if you don't, you know, screw it up. I mean, in this case, I finished the match really good, and then it's a good feeling. But I also had a match in Portugal, also Davis Cup match. I did on the last point, or the match before match point. The second last point, I made a mistake, and it was a mistake, and I saw it on the television or on the replay and everything afterwards, and it was a terrible mistake. And I will never forget this moment, because it was like the worst moment in my career. So I cannot forget this. I was 4 weeks, I was dreaming of the situation, and I felt really bad. You cannot imagine like how bad it feels if it happens.
Yeah.
It's a really big mistake in a really close match. It was like 2-2, the decisive match, and at the end everybody said the umpire's fault, you know. Yeah, that was really bad.
I imagine a lot of pressure also sometimes, and of course if you make these mistakes, it's not that easy. Last but not least, Jochen, I want to have the last question of the day, and then we're done. Give us 2 rules that we might not know, where you say, hey, if you're out there on the court, this is like a fun fact or a fun rule in tennis where almost no one knows, but if you know it, you can show up with that fun fact.
Okay, there's one thing nobody really knows. It's if you play a singles with a single stick, you know, you have the doubles post for the doubles court and doubles match, and you have normally in Grand Slams, you know that they change the net, and they have another net post for the single. You look Roland Garros, if you see a singles match, it's a different net than the doubles net.
Sure.
But if you cannot do this in a normal club match, so you put the single sticks. So now you have the extra net post, which is the single stick. And most people don't know, if you hit a passing shot and you hit the net between the single stick and the doubles post, and the ball goes in, the people take the point. But this ball is out. The ball is out when if you hit the net between singles post and net post. It's a permanent fixture, and if you hit that, it's a false shot. So you lose the point. And I have a friend in my club. He played a tournament, and I said, how was it going at the tournament? I had match point, and they cannot believe it. The guy passes me, and the ball hits the ball outside, and the ball goes in, and I lose the match at the end. I said, yeah, you won the match, you idiot. I mean, if you would know the rules. Yeah.
Yeah,
and so
that's
it was
true.
even worse for him. Yeah.
That's shocking, because for me also shocking. That's like a lot of ATP pro players. I did sometimes on Instagram some rule questions, and I have some pro players like also putting the yes or no or what they think. It's shocking that they have often no clue what they're talking about. I mean, you see it also even Djokovic. Even Djokovic was wrong just in the last tournament, I think in Dubai. He was wrong about a situation where I was like, hey, Djokovic, I mean, you're Djokovic, and you don't know the rule. It was a clear mistake from Djokovic. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he didn't know the rule. And this is not the only one. There's so many. They have never read the rule book. They don't know exactly kind of these rules. because they think, okay, there's an umpire, I just need to play my tennis, I need to win the last point, and then that's it, you know. So very interesting that they not really taking care of it. So one more, Jochen, and then you're done.
Yeah, lots of people are not sure about reaching over the net. So if you play a volley, you are not allowed to play the ball on the other side of the court. So you are not allowed to volley it on the opponent's court, you know, reach over the net. You have to wait until the ball passes the net, and then you can volley it. But if it's a drop shot and it's bouncing back, you can reach over the net in this case and play the ball. And you can even play it backwards and just hit it into the net and let it roll down, so the other guy cannot reach it anymore, because the ball is just rolling on its side. It doesn't even bounce on its side. If you just put it in the back of the net, you know, that's like the perfect shot you can play if you have the opportunity.
But then I have one question. Then what if I hit it into the net, and from the net it bounces down and it bounces up? Is the opponent allowed to play the ball or not?
Of course, it's the first bounce when it's not a bounce when it hits the net. The bounce when it's touching the ground. So if the other guy is lucky and the ball comes up, it's still in play. Of course, then he can play it. The net is not a bounce.
Because that's interesting. What I saw really sorry. Go ahead. If you hit the net, then it just keeps going. It goes on.
No, it's your turn. It's just the net. Hitting the net is not a bounce. It's only when it hits the ground. That's the first bounce.
Yeah. And because what I saw is like in a doubles match, it was in an ITF tournament, a doubles match, where the double player at the net really plays that volley, that reaching volley, where you just take your racket there, and of course backspin, the ball comes, bounces on the ground, then goes not back to the other side, but bounces into the net, and then comes out of the net, and the player from that side just puts it over, wins the point, but the opponent's team were not continuing playing, because they said, hey, the back bounce bounced into their net, so the point is over. And the player just continue playing the ball, didn't touch the net. I've never seen that before, but it worked. And then of course the referee decided what you just said. If it touches the net, even after that backspin drop shot, and it bounces not back over the net, but it bounces back into the net. And then you just have to wait till it comes off the net. If you don't touch the net, you just keep playing, and it's a valid shot.
It's a good shot, yeah.
Absolutely.
So
that was
the guy who grabbed the ball out of the net wins the point.
Yeah. Exactly. So he was doing the right thing and won the point. Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now it's 7 o'clock. I don't want to take you any more minutes here. Jochen, was a lot of things we talked, and there's so much stuff that we could talk another session some other time talking about stuff. Was a pleasure having you here in the channel, giving a short insight into all the people out there about line umpiring, what to do if you want to become one, what to do if you want to become a chair umpire. If you have any more questions, of course, reach out to me. I'll forward the question to him, or I'll answer it myself. Jochen, thank you very much. Enjoy your dinner, and we see and talk very soon.
Ciao.
Take care, Jochen. Ciao.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Ciao. So that was Jochen Knobel. As I said, a very nice umpire that has worked for 25 years on the tour. I hope I did mention a lot of questions. The questions that were sometimes double, or maybe I missed here or there one. I'm sorry if I did. If you have one more question or two more questions, I can give you also the answers right here. And then, because I know also a lot about the rules, about the rule that he said about between the single stick and the net post, that if you touch that part of the net and the ball goes back in the court, that's a valid shot. Is also, of course, very unique. Does not happen often, but it's also very interesting that if between the single stick and the double post, if you run into that part of the net, so if you run to a drop shot and you play a drop shot to the other side, so you're running right, let's say you're running right from down here, you're running up to the drop shot, and you hit the drop shot right here, and the single stick should be around there where my finger is. And then you run, but you run left side of the single stick, just about here. You run into the net and touch the net. The play continues. You're allowed to touch the net there. You're allowed to touch the net because that is not part of the singles net. So you're allowed to touch it. Also something that most people don't know, and it's very, very interesting to know. The other thing that actually I did once is if you run to the drop shot and you put the ball to the other side, you can actually jump over the net, but you're not allowed to touch the singles line, or you touch the court on the other side. But you're allowed to jump into the doubles alley, run around the net post, and come back and try to win the point. Of course, I lost the point because he just put the ball back, but I didn't lose the point because I jumped over the net into the doubles corridor. So this is also possibility. Or the last thing that I want to mention here is if you run to the drop shot, you play the drop shot, you can actually lean over the net, and with your racket, you can put your racket on the other side of the court into the doubles alley, that you have like some balance. And once you have the balance, you take the racket back and you go back. It's fine. You just are not allowed to touch his court. You're not allowed to touch with the racket the lines, but you're allowed to lean over. Of course, with your belly, you should not touch the net. So don't be too fat, because you maybe touch the net with your belly, and that's losing the point. But if you lean over and put your racket on the other side, so that you're not touching the net, that's actually a valid situation in tennis. And yeah, fun fact I learned that if you play singles on a doubles net and you hit the ball between the net post and the net itself, at the top there often is a little space and it isn't touching the net or post, is a valid shot. Raptor, very, very good. Guys, if there is one more question, I will take it, and if not, I will just close the stream so we don't keep it too long for people that want to rewatch it. Yeah, as I said, Jochen is a very nice guy, very, very, very good umpires. He did Olympics, as I said, Davis Cups. He did Grand Slams, a lot of Grand Slams, and yeah, Raptor is actually our mod. Raptor is an ongoing chair umpire. He's chair umpiring already the first Bundesliga in Germany. He's doing his exams, and maybe we'll see him one day in a Grand Slam. Let's see how that goes on. Then we can cheer him up, and then we can commentate the match when he is the chair umpire, or even at the French Open we just attend a match, or at the US Open where he's the chair umpire, and then all the beanies they're coming together, having a full block together, and just enjoying the match with Raptor on the chair. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm coaching a player there that is playing. That would be fun. Yeah, that was it actually, guys. I think I'm heading out. Maybe I'm gonna do a match later on. Let's see which matches are on. I actually, by the way, forgot to put a live score with the Kokkinakis match. There is things are happening. Guys, was a pleasure. I'm leaving. I'm putting the live score, and I'll see you very, very soon. Was a pleasure. As always, Shamini says goodbye. Thanks for the support. Thanks for joining. And if you came late, you can always rewatch it. Take care. All the best. And as always, ciao, ciao.